I paid $10,400 for the engagement dinner. They forgot to tell me the new venue and threw a party without me. So I emptied every shared account and left them a parting gift that made them call me 74 times. Wow, seriously? You didn't check the address again? My dad basically called me a lost cause when I phoned him from this fancy $10,400 rental hall. I was just standing there, all dressed up, with no one around, surrounded by nothing but cold hors d'oeuvres. The silence was only interrupted by the irritating buzz of fluorescent lights, like a bunch of flies over a dead body. I glanced at my phone to double-check the text from my mom. Yup, she had sent me the old location. Oops, my bad, she texted. It's too far to come now. Just head home, sweetie. And this message came a whole 10 minutes after the party was supposed to kick off. By then, I had already shelled out cash for the decor, caterers, servers, and even that cheesy flaming champagne entrance Vanessa really wanted. There I was, all by myself in my suit, watching the ice sculpture of two swans slowly melt away. I didn't bother replying to anyone, not to Mom, Dad, or even Vanessa when she texted, "Where are you?" At 9:47 p.m. like, seriously? As if I was the one who went missing. But the real kicker came later that night when my cousin posted an Instagram story. It was a boomerang of everyone cheersing with drinks, streamers flying, and my dad front and center, grinning ear to ear, his arm around Vanessa's fiancé. The caption read, "Best party yet, zero drama, zero him." Ouch. I just sat and watched that video loop over and over, looking at the party I funded but wasn't invited to. Seeing all those people I'd always been there for, laughing as though my vanishing act was the best thing I'd ever done, something inside me just snapped. I decided to freeze every shared account, Netflix, Spotify, the Apple Family Plan, and then I cleared out the balance from the venue's card, deposit included. They'd been using that card for Vanessa's honeymoon, believe it or not. And at exactly 10:01 p.m., I sent my farewell gift, a Dropbox folder set to auto-send to every single family group chat, plus the church committee, Dad's old golf buddies, and Mom's book club. Inside were screenshots of Vanessa's fake invoices and an audio clip of my mom saying, "Just keep him distracted, he never double-checks receipts." I hesitated to include it, but I needed them to get why I couldn't trust them anymore. There was even a guest list with my name conveniently erased. By 10:03 p.m., my phone lit up with texts, first Mom, then Dad, Vanessa, and the cousins. By midnight, I had missed 74 calls. I didn't answer any of them. For years, they made it seem like love, like I was a part of something important. Mom would text, "Can you help, just this once?" And I'd just send money without a second thought. Vanessa always promised, "I'll pay you back," though those receipts were as rare as a unicorn. I paid for her Invisalign, her dog's surgery, the Netflix, the family's phone plan, and even that fancy anniversary dinner where Dad toasted to family. Yep, I bought the wine, footed the bill, and tipped the waiter who called me sir, while Vanessa casually rolled her eyes and whispered, "Relax, it's just a meal." They were always falling behind on something, the rent, utilities, Vanessa's business course, which she ditched after 2 weeks. Vanessa always had an excuse, and I always had the cash. Initially, I thought I was being kind, then that I was being useful. But eventually, the math didn't add up because what they took never matched what they gave. And what they gave was mostly silence, sarcasm, or flat-out entitlement. I overheard Dad at a barbecue once, telling his cousin, "Alex is good for emergencies, that's his role." They laughed. I pretended not to hear. The engagement dinner was meant to be my last gift, my goodbye in the form of a check, but even that they snatched from me. I found out later that Vanessa had booked a second venue with my deposit, somewhere across town, flashier and perfect for her social media bragging. She used my name on the reservation, of course. I only figured it out after I reviewed the catering bill, a menu featuring shrimp tartare and Vanessa's so-called signature sangria, neither of which I approved. It didn't all fall apart at once, it unraveled slowly. The family group chat went radio silent for a few days. I figured they were too embarrassed or thought I'd lash out, but I didn't. I just went quiet, and that's when things got worse. One afternoon, I stopped by Vanessa's place to drop off a pair of heels she'd forgotten in my car after a wedding rehearsal. She wasn't home, but her door was, as usual, unlocked. I let myself in, called out, but no answer. Her laptop was open on the kitchen counter, the email client glowing. I wasn't planning to snoop, but as I went to close it, I saw my name. It was an email thread between her and Mom, subject line, "Plan for Saturday, keep Alex out." I froze and scrolled through. Vanessa wrote, "He'll be mad for 5 minutes, then he'll pay for brunch anyway." Mom replied, Just don't let him show up, it's too awkward with Dan's family. They don't like drama. And then, the worst line of all, of course, he'll. So, here's the deal, my dad always pays for stuff, and somewhere along the line, I realized that I didn't know what hurt more, being betrayed or knowing it was coming. That night, Dad posted some dramatic status online, saying he was proud of me for not getting involved in the drama. He didn't tag me, but he didn't need to, everyone knew who he was talking about. The comments were a trip. My aunt wrote something like, "You raised her right, unlike some other folks I won't name," and my cousin just laughed it off with an emoji. It was pretty clear who the family wallet was. Then someone shot me a screenshot from another group chat. Apparently, there was a family brunch planned after an engagement party, and guess who wasn't invited? Me. They were all like, "Let's keep it clean, no meltdowns, no Alex." I was just sitting there at my desk, staring at my screen. I wasn't mad or surprised. I was just done. The next day, my mom hits me up, asking if I could pitch in for the honeymoon deposit because Vanessa's card bounced, and she's stressed out. I didn't reply. She followed up, saying it was short term, they'd pay me back, and that family means helping out. She even threw in a line about not being petty over the dinner thing. That's when it hit me, they never even apologized. Not for taking my money, not for manipulating me, nothing. To them, I was just a tool, silent and useful. But not anymore. So, I went through my bank statements and found 6 charges I didn't okay. We're talking $389 for Vanessa's makeup trial and $1,120 to a florist I never contacted. Oh, and there was some weird transfer to an account ending in 82. I called the bank, flagged the account, and got them to start an internal review. Then, I canceled every automatic family payment, power bill, grocery top-up, even the wedding website I'd registered for them. Now, it just leads to a page that says, "This celebration has been canceled, refunds pending." Okay, not completely true, but I needed to make a point. The silence from the family was heavy. Vanessa unfollowed me everywhere. Dad texted a simple grow up. Mom just sent a rose emoji, which was weirdly amusing because they still thought I'd just fall back in line. They had no clue this was only the beginning. That evening, I showed up at their fancy restaurant party. The place had white linens and candles, super posh, the kind of place I didn't grow up eating at. Vanessa had reserved a special spot, made it all fancy. I walked in uninvited, and it was like I was invisible at first. But then the waiter asked if I was with their party. I just smiled and said, "Yes, unfortunately." The whole room froze. Vanessa's smile disappeared, and she hissed, "What are you doing here?" I casually mentioned that I just wanted to see what a $10,400 party looked like without the guy who funded it. It got a bit intense. I showed some screenshots, like receipts for their little schemes, and read a few of their emails out loud. You could see Dan's face drop. The whole room was buzzing, and my mom tried to calm it down, but I kept going because it was about time somebody did. When I turned to Dan, I asked him point blank how much of this he paid for, mentioning that a $3,000 charge to a Maldives villa was all on me. Vanessa called me insane, but her voice cracked. I wasn't trying to embarrass anyone, I just wanted to end the charade. Then I shared a link with everyone at the table, every transaction, every screenshot. I wasn't after revenge, just done with pretending it didn't happen. Suddenly, everyone's phones were buzzing with my little trove of receipts. You could feel the room get tense and quiet, like everyone was holding their breath. Then Dan's dad stood up and asked quietly, "Is this true?" Dan kept silent. Vanessa's hands trembled as she reached out to Dan, but he pulled back. "You said he offered to help," Dan said slowly. "You said he insisted." Vanessa opened her mouth but then shut it, glancing at me. I stayed calm. Then Dan looked at his dad and back to her and said, "I need some air," before leaving. Vanessa was frozen for a moment, and then she yelled, "You always do this. You make it all about you." I leaned in close to Vanessa and whispered, "You made me invisible. I'm just showing everyone the ghost you created." Then I addressed the whole table of relatives who were awkwardly smiling and sipping wine they didn't buy. "Let me be clear, I'm not your ATM anymore, not your backup plan, not your punching bag." Dad raised his voice, saying I was embarrassing them, but I cut him off. "No, you did that yourselves." Then I walked out, and nobody followed except this quiet cousin who caught up with me in the parking lot. "I saw the screenshots," he said. "If you ever need someone to back you up, I'm here." I nodded, didn't say a word, got in my car, and felt for the first time that I wasn't running away from something but moving toward something better. They started calling almost immediately, with my mom ringing me up 7 times in a row, then texting, "Please don't make this permanent. But it already was. They still thought we could talk this through, cry a bit, and I'd return to being useful but a bit bitter. No way. I didn't shout, didn't post any proof, didn't explain anything, I just went completely radio silent. The next day, I shut down every financial tie, utilities, mom's health insurance, wedding services, shared logins, all gone. Then came a different approach, softer this time. Vanessa sent oddly sweet message, "Look, we were stressed. I know it looked bad, but can we just talk? Then, you blew things out of proportion, but I forgive you." I didn't reply, I just deleted it all. By the third day, my phone was quiet, and that silence was louder than anything. One cousin even said in the group chat, "Well, if he won't answer, that's on him." By day 4, real panic set in. They were scrambling, mom couldn't get her prescription, the wedding site was down, access to the family Prime account was revoked. I didn't respond. For the first time in years, I wasn't left wondering, I was unreachable. That week, I signed a lease in a quieter part of town. No one knew me there. I bought new furniture, not because I needed it, but because I didn't want to carry anything from the past into my new place. I didn't block them, I just didn't give them my new address, didn't say I needed space, I just took it. I kept my old number but turned the phone off and got a new SIM card for just the essential stuff like banking. On day 5, Dad called. I saw his name on the screen and felt nothing. His voicemail said, "You're no hero, Alex. You'll bury yourself, just like your grandfather did." Then, another one, running away like a boy. A man doesn't vanish, a man fights. I listened once, deleted them, and never replayed any more. They didn't get it, it wasn't about the dinner or the screenshots. It was that, for the first time, I didn't come back. In past years, I'd blow up, go silent for a week, then return with cash or help. Not this time. I left and locked every door behind me. Their messages got meaner. Vanessa accused me of ruining the most important moment of her life, said I wrecked her happiness. Mom tried the gentle route, "Family isn't perfect, but it's yours." I didn't respond. I wasn't out for revenge. I just stopped giving them access and went on living. My mornings got quieter with no texts asking for a quick transfer over breakfast. Lunch wasn't interrupted by guilt trips, and weekends were finally my own, no unpaid errands disguised as obligations. I no longer looked for gratitude because finally, I owed them nothing, and they owed me nothing. Walking home one night, there was a message from an unknown number, a screenshot of an old subscription renewal, the last one ever under my name. So, picture this, I get this random message, and it's not just some throwaway line. It's for real. I didn't just burn bridges, I buried them deep and didn't even put up a marker. It had been 5 months since that night when everything blew up. I went radio silent, no replies, no group chats. Whole new setup, new bank, new apartment, new rules, no more family drama. And let me tell you, it was a breath of fresh air. My money was right where I left it, and my mind was finally at peace. Silence wasn't something to defend anymore, it was just there, all natural. I was starting to believe I'd finally done it, walked away and left the chaos behind, like shedding old skin. Then Dan called. Unknown number, but I could totally recognize the voice. He's like, "I know you probably don't want to hear from us, but something happened." I should have hung up, every part of me was screaming too, but I didn't. Apparently, Vanessa opened a credit line in my name. He found out when the bank thought he was her husband. She used some old power of attorney paperwork and said I knew about it. She even claimed I was cool with it, like I'd be down to help out again. I sauntered into the bank, no lawyer, no drama, just this icy rage, all calm and focused. The account manager kept fidgeting with my ID and said, "This isn't a simple mistake, Mr. Carter." It was a full-on identity scam, personal loan, business card, the whole 9 yards, adding up to nearly 18 grand. I filed a complaint, and the investigation kicked off. Then, like a scene out of a movie, my mom walked in and froze. We locked eyes, and she came over, all guilty-like. She's whispering, "Please don't do this, there's more to the story." Vanessa didn't mean it, she panicked, thought I'd moved on. She was gonna pay it back, just needed a hand to get started. She committed fraud, I pointed out. "It's family, Alex," she said. "Exactly, and you guys used family like a weapon." She teared up, and I stood my ground, "You did it to me first." 3 days later, Vanessa got arrested mid-appointment at some fancy salon, nails half done, hair all done up, handcuffed right there. Someone filmed it, and it ended up on TikTok, blowing up overnight. Her mug was everywhere, her screaming about it being a mistake while clutching a designer bag bought with my name. The headlines were brutal: Bride to be arrested for identity theft and all that. I didn't post anything, didn't tweet, nada. But people still tagged me, asking if that was my sister. Dan even called off the engagement and sent me a quiet message, admitting I was right all along. Weeks later, I was back at the bank, cutting all ties, even the emergency contact. When they asked for a name, I just smiled and said to leave it blank. That empty space was more freeing than any apology I never got. On my way out, I spotted my dad's old car parked nearby. He was just sitting there, looking not mad, just small. I strolled past, didn't even acknowledge him. I didn't owe him that. The lesson I learned? I wasn't weak for sticking around. I was useful, obedient, silent. They loved that because it gave them everything. But silence isn't loyalty. When I finally spoke up, not with words but with actions, they didn't know what hit them. So now, I'm gone, not a victim, not their son, not their brother. They wanted me gone, and now, they're just nothing in my world. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real life stories happening around you.